And I will again call the meeting of the Wenham Planning Board to order for Thursday, December 10th, 2020. This meeting is on Zoom and it's virtual because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And in attendance, we have myself, Ann Weeks, I'm the chair of the board, Dan Pasquarello, David Anderson, Virginia Rogers, members, and staff are with us, Margaret Hoffman and Catherine Tinsley. And it looks like we have a board of select member with us, Mr. Cheeseman. Our agenda for tonight is somewhat abbreviated because we have decided to, or there has been a request to continue one public hearing, and on another matter, we have decided to postpone that. And I'm going to turn it over to staff to explain. Ms. Hoffman, do you want to explain for the recording in the group?
I'm sorry, Ann, do you want me to explain?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Are you having a hard time hearing me?
No, I have it. I hear you now. We did get a request to continue 60 Arbor Street. I think Virginia could chair that hearing, whereas you and Dan are recused. You know what? I'm not sure that we can do that without Peter, because we've only got 3 members. I wonder, would it be okay to take up the other administrative items until Peter joins us? That way Virginia and David and Peter can vote to continue that hearing.
That's totally fine with me. Are we sure that Peter is planning to attend?
As far as I know, I haven't heard anything that he wouldn't be. I'll send him a text to make sure.
Would you mind doing that?
No, I will do that.
Margaret, if Peter doesn't attend,
yeah,
I think that you are able
to
take a purely administrative vote for a continuation. You're not accepting evidence or doing anything material, so I think you're okay to do that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because it's just 3 members, but that'd be great. I'll send him a quick text and see if he's going to make it.
It seems as though, having told the applicant that this is what we were doing, we have a duty to do it.
Okay. The other items on the agenda, Ann, the Spring Hill subdivision, we decided to not do that tonight. I wanted to have our DPW director available for this discussion, and he was not going to be available tonight. We can take up the master plan information if you want to just discuss that as a group.
I would very much like to do that, because I think that that is a project that I think all of us agree we need to get going on, and would love to give that another try this year. So do you have a presentation on that, Margaret? How would you like to proceed?
Yes, I have. I just have what I had sent you all the other day. I'm going to bring that up. So what we're hoping in is that we're able to have a public forum in January to discuss the possibilities of a master plan and to get some support from the community. So what I've done is just put some information together for this board to, start to think about it and think about what we'd like to do for that public forum, because the master plan really is the planning board's thing. The planning board would be taking the lead on it. We currently, we are hoping that we will be able to get funding in this year's budget. We're putting together a request for funding. I've spoken to a couple of consultants who do master plans, and their estimates vary. They kind of go from anywhere from 50,000 to 150,000. So once we start to get a bit of an idea of what this community would like to see happen, we'll have a better idea of how much money we should be requesting. That's why we're hoping January we can get together, have a public forum. It'll be on Zoom, but we'll be able to we'll put some presentations together. The planning board members who are the planning board members will be able to speak and talk about how they feel about the master plan process and what it could do for the community. So what I've done is just, and I think you all read this, I don't know, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, just to give some ideas about, why a master plan, like why would Wenham need one? So again, a master plan gives the decision makers, people who, all of the boards and committees, anyone who's, spending money, capital improvements, any of those things are discussed within a master plan. So people have a good roadmap to follow. And again, you can make informed decisions if you know what the plan is. Predictability, you know what to expect. Oh, I'm sorry. I just got a text from Peter. He said Zoom is shutting him down. Not sure why. Let me just see if I can send him the link again.
I know I waited quite a bit of time to be let in. I don't know.
Yeah, that was actually my fault because I was trying to send Virginia the link.
So that's not what he's experiencing.
Oh, he said he's got somebody working on it, so he's trying to get in. So I'm sorry. So again, there's some predictability for the community itself. So the community has some idea of what to expect with their own what's going to be purchased, what direction the community will go in terms of regulations, and then it allows for better use of our resources.
Related to that, Margaret, I think I understood when we did the open space and recreation plan. One of the things that came up is it's very difficult to leverage certain state grants if you don't have a master plan. You're just leaving that money on the table.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Very true.
I want to mention that here.
Yep. Yeah. So it's the wise use of resources. It gives information to all of the different boards, departments in the community as to how our resources are to be used. And preserving community character, the last plan that we had in Wenham, I believe, was done in 1960. The front cover says 1980. So I was a little misled because I thought, oh, they did this in 1980. It's not that old. What's 40 years, right? But no, it was actually done in 1960 as a plan to 1980. And to be perfectly honest, a lot of things in that old plan are things that I think this community will still hold on to. There's a desire to have a rural character, to preserve our open spaces and our forests and farmland. So there's a lot of the same things, which is understandable. The idea of economic development, I think it's one that needs to be addressed in Wenham, even though we certainly don't have a large economic base, but we do have, a small downtown that maybe there are ways that could be improved, that, there is a business community in Wenham, most of it's home business, but a lot of things that are happening in the world today are things that Wenham could look at to help facilitate our residents' businesses, even if they are at home. So anyway, as I said, Wenham has not had a master plan since 1960. Master General law actually dictates what a master plan should be and what it should have, because the ultimate goal will be to have this master plan, approved, and by the town, by the state. So the components required are a statement of goals and policies. We have to discuss land use, housing, economic development, natural and cultural resources, open space and recreation, services and facilities, circulation, which is transportation pretty much, implementation. So those are the things that Mass General Law requires you to look at in your master plan. Some of the things like economic development, transportation, they're not huge items in a master plan for Wenham. So sometimes the cost from a consultant may be a little bit less because those are not, those things may be easier to look at in Wenham than some other larger communities. So communities can then add things, what things we think are important. And absolutely all of these things, not all of these things, but many of these things will have to be looked at in Wenham. Energy, climate action, climate adaptation, sustainability, public health, all of those things are things that we'll want to look at. If I could ask you to just hold for 1 minute, Peter's asked me to send him that link again. I'm just gonna forward an email off to him. Just bear with me for a second.
Sounds good, Margaret. I'm sorry you have to juggle all this at the same time. I will say in the lull that the Open Space and Recreation Committee has already put together the framework anyway for the Open Space and Recreation Plan, and that we did that on the basis of a public forum of the kind we're discussing, I think, although not virtual. Obviously, it was a really fun evening. Actually, we had a community meeting with the consultant, took comments on what people wanted to see, developed basically a survey out of that, and took the survey results, and those guided our work. So I don't know if that is contemplated here, but we found that to be very helpful in trying to make some of the decisions, because of course, we're just doing it off the seat of our pants. It's
one of the
fine.
things that
We're all able to do that.
But all of the plans that we have done, and we have made some progress on our plans. Like you say, the open space plan, the Affordable Housing Trust has an action plan. There was a historic survey done. All of these things will come into play. But the sooner we get on the master plan, the better. Because our plans, they've been done, some have been accepted by the state. It'll be good to get, so the data doesn't become stale. So
I agree with that.
Yeah. In a master plan, you would have your community vision statement, then you would collect all of the data and do an analysis. You want to talk about existing conditions, what's going on now. Then you start to look at what could be happening in the future. And certainly, things are changing so fast in our world right now. And even a small community like Wenham has to look at these changes. Their, energy, our resources, the climate adaptation changes that we're having to make. So look at future projections, however, aren't that easy to make. We all know, you never know what to expect right now. But then you would want to establish your goals, your policies, and your actions for the future. What do you want to see? And then the maps. So you have to have maps showing what is the community, where it is, and where everything is. All of these things that you discuss in your master plan, whether it's your traffic issues, public buildings, residential zoning, all those things will come into play and need to have be determined with maps. Some of the issues, of course, there are demographic changes, how social media has changed a lot of things and the way we do things, our aging infrastructures. People's lifestyle changes are different than they were in 1960, a little bit. I don't know if they're that much different, but a little. Mine is, anyway. Development near transit, as much as that, sometimes to me that sounds like a big city issue, but it's not. I mean, we have a train up here. We want to talk about, is there possibilities for development near our the commuter rail? Climate change, antiquated zoning, the tax bases, shrinking tax base, that's something that, you know, can be addressed in this master plan. It can be brought out at least and discussed. Again, public health, energy, building codes and materials. These are just some of the things. It's a full comprehensive plan and a look at our whole community. One of the things that I'm not sure everyone does realize, Massachusetts, the master plan adoption, it only requires a majority vote of the planning board. It does not need to go to town meeting. You know, in Wenham, that's something that we could absolutely discuss. Maybe you would want to take it to town meeting. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't have to go to town meeting for a vote, but I think Wenham's small enough that might be something we might consider. So these are just some of the points about a master plan and, you know, why you would want to do one, and just a real quick rundown of what's needed in a master plan. So what, again, my hope is that we'll be able to have a public forum. We'll have, of course, more comprehensive presentations. I don't think I need to convince this board about a master plan, but I don't know. I mean, we haven't really had that discussion. And of course, I know you're, you know, looking forward to it. I don't know how David or Dan or Virginia, what everyone really thinks, because there are people who don't feel it's necessary, or, you know, they don't understand what the benefit would be. So I think it would be nice just for us to have that discussion tonight, just briefly, and then so that come January, we can have a, you know, comprehensive front and be able to put on a good presentation for the community.
Could I, before we get into that, could I just ask a question about whether January is a magic time to do this? Because I know when we were putting together the forum for the open space plan, there was a lot of outreach and trying to make sure that people knew about it and were up to speed on what it was, so that we could get a lot of participation.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, with the holidays between now and the end of January, whether or not there's really time to do that. Is there something magic about January that we have to be aware of?
I think the reason we're looking for January is because of the budget deadlines. We want to be able to request funding for this in the budget. And what we want to do is gain support for town meeting in the spring. We're not at this point looking to get the public's input, really. We just want to present to the public to say, look, this is something that we want to do. We want you will all be involved. But really now we're just letting them know, can you support this at town meeting? And I think if we start in January, let's have our first public forum. We can certainly have more as we can see the momentum grow. We can decide what kind of outreach we want to do. And again, it's not to get people to the process, it's just to get their support for the funding. The process won't start until after July, because we have to have funding in place before we can get started. So between now and town meeting, we just want to get that, bug in people's ears and start to say, look, this master plan is going to be a pretty good thing. Let's get some support for it.
Margaret, is the forum, is that going to take place during one of our meetings, or is it a separate event?
No, I think we're going to have a separate event.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other comments from board members about this?
I do wonder, we know we have we have some very antiquated laws that we're dealing with all the time in addition to not having a master plan, we have some, what, 40-year-old subdivision regulations.
Yeah.
And although I understand the idea of having a master plan, ideally, you know, that the subdivision regulations would take some of their some of the input from with the master plan, but as to the need of one over the other, I just really think we need to work at on those subdivision.
Well, if I could just, we did get a grant, and I think I sent you all the information. I've actually received 2 grants to do the regulation update. That's happening. That's going to start, we're going to start working on that.
Is that for what, for subdivision reg?
Subdivision rules and regulations, as well as our zoning bylaws and our general bylaws and our water resources bylaw, our stormwater bylaws. What we did was got a grant we got 2 grants, one from the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, their planning assistance grant. And then we just got a grant from MAPC for their climate resiliency grant. What the money is for us to look at our regulations, all of them now. The first grant was primarily for the subdivision rules and regulations. Now we got more money so we can do all of the regulations. That's happening. You know, in an ideal world, it would have been great if we had gotten the master plan done and then had our regulations done, but we can't wait on the regulations. I don't feel, I mean, I've been trying to get funding for this project probably since I started, and finally those funds are here. And I think what will happen is this process of updating our regulations will reveal a lot of maybe issues. It'll reveal the issues with our regulations and where they don't jive and where some of them are not utilizing best practices. Some of them don't adhere to state regulations. We'll be able to identify all of those. And then in that process, I think we'll start to identify some areas that could benefit the master plan too. Again, it would be great if we could have done the master plan first, but it's right now, you know, we got the funds, and I think we need to do the regulation update. And then master plan, I think may be started, they may be kind of happening at the same time to some extent,
So what I'm hearing from you, Margaret, is that it's not a one or the other thing. We think we have the resources to do both.
Yes, I know we have the resources to do the regulation update. I've got the money, it's in place. I'm going to put together the RFP next week to send out to find a consultant to work on that project. That project is going to happen. It's going to be a lot of public input. We're going to have, you know, surveys. We're going to have meetings with the boards. Every department is being brought into this regulation update. The master plan has to be funded some way. And we're hoping that there's money in the budget somewhere to help fund that master plan. That's a separate project, but a lot of the same ideas and issues will rise to the top of both of those projects as they happen kind of on a same track, side by side, over the next 2 years.
How much do you think the master plan is going to cost?
So, Peter, we got a couple of estimates, and I was saying earlier, the estimates ranged from like 50, 75,000 up to 150,000, depending on what we need and what we want to do. So that's, yeah, I think we may be looking for 100,000 from town meeting.
Having attempted that last year with the finance board getting shot down, I wonder if we might temper our ask this year so that we get something rather than nothing.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, Ann, to maybe ask this year for half and spread it out over a 2-year plan. I mean, a master plan can take up to 2 years. You really want to get as much input as you can, and so if we went for half and half, that's, I think, something we could definitely ask for. There are some grant opportunities for master plans, and we're keeping our eyes out for those, for sure.
I'd like to comment that a couple-year plan makes sense because everything that I hear about development and lifestyle and the changes in communities that are going to be a result of the sort of the outfall of this pandemic can have a really large effect on communities like ours.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of reactionary people still living in Wenham. And it's frustrating to hear people say, well, we want it to be the way it's always been. It look like it's always been. And
it can't. I know.
And basically, we need to have something with a little bit more forward motion than just this.
I agree. Yeah.
We just have to recognize that in our ask.
I also agree with you that the effects of this pandemic are not going to be gone soon, and it will take a little while for us to figure out what they are. More people are moving out of cities into little towns like ours because they can work from home, and trying to document that and collect data on it, that might take more than just a year. So it makes sense for us to think about this as a longer term.
I agree. And I think as we move into the process of the master plan, doing a full master plan online on Zoom is not going to be easy. I think it's going to take us, I'm hoping in a year, we're able to get back together in, a big room. Hopefully within the master plan process, we will be able to come back together, and it'll be a little bit easier for us to communicate what everyone wants. Is it a perfect time to start a master plan? I don't know. I mean, it's not a perfect time to do anything, but I think it's something we have to start to look at. And if we can get some funding to start, it would be, I think it'll be a good thing.
Well, it was going to be nice as any.
Yeah.
I think that one of the problems that will persist is the economic development, and we need to think about how the town is zoned and whether there could be an economic development zone. I think these are all very, very pertinent. We don't want to inadvertently create something that, as I say, institutionalizes the way it's been.
Right.
So the more we start thinking and talking about, the future, then the more good information we'll get, I think.
I would just add a point, Dave Anderson, that I think I've spoken with a couple people around town and others just casually, because I'm super excited about this project. I think this is a really exciting document that could do a lot of great things for the town of Wenham if done right. And by that, I mean, the number one thing I've heard, the feedback is picking the right firm, the firm that's really going to dive in and do this in a really kind of holistic and dedicated way, as opposed to picking something off the shelf and just changing the title and being a little bit. But yeah, so I mean, I think if it takes 6 months to figure out who the right firm is, interview, whatever. I'm here for that legwork because I think that's going to be like super important. And, you know, to that end, Margaret, you may already have this information, but I would be super interested to understand which of the surrounding towns, even towns like Ipswich, which are kind of categorically different, but still of interest to me, do they have master plans? Whom have they worked with? You know, what was their experience? How much did it cost? And I assume that they would be pretty upfront about sharing and that there'd be interest in that. So that would be of great interest to me in that initial period to make sure that whatever we get is a really valuable thing, a really valuable product in the end.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll absolutely get that information and start to look around and see which towns, and most of the towns do have them, but I'll see how their experiences were. Yeah.
And when they did their last plan too would be interesting, you know, how recently.
Yeah. Yes, I can get that. And I'll send it to the board. I'll send that information out. I'll get as much as I can next week. I think I have a good collection of master plans. I have a good collection of zoning bylaws. State. I know I have both.
Margaret, is the existing plan available somewhere for us?
It's on my shelf and at work. I think it's the only copy left. I don't know.
Can you scan it and circulate it?
I think I can. Let me see if I can get an intern to scan it. They'd have to take it.
That would be great.
I don't know if she did that yet or not, but I'll check and see, and I'll send that to you. Yeah, it's a nice plan. It's sweet. What a sweet little town.
Oh, well, let's just adopt it again. I mean, this not like this has happened in 60 years, right?
We could do that. I'll scratch out 1980 and put 2040. How's that?
Ay.
I would just add this, which is I think I haven't been keeping up with my FinCom meetings, but something tells me that the budget, I don't know how much room or tolerance there's going to be for this, but I don't think that should necessarily stop us. And I think it just means we need to make a more persuasive case. And I don't know if that's looking at recent litigation costs stemming from board decisions or looking at other towns for kind of what their benefits that they've been able to show. Maybe there's studies that have been out there, but trying to really bring the data to say this is an investment that will be cash positive in some sense for this town and not in a long term. And that may be a tough argument to make, but I think we can make it because I really do believe this is going to be beneficial for the town financially in not too long.
No, I agree with that and attempted to make that argument last year, but last year budgets were very tight and it was the beginning of the pandemic. So there was a lot of unknown, you know. And I do think that $100,000 to that board at that time sounded like, you know, a nice round number, but a too big, nice round number. So if there's some way of doing this where we think of this as a multi-year project and ask for something less, it might be prudent.
I think that's a very smart strategy, and it has to be about the benefits. It has to be about the benefits, and if we can ever tie them back to this idea of keeping the best aspects of Wenham while also figuring out how to work a little bit of commercial in, I think that's the right way to go.
Great. So I was looking at some dates for January. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts. We're thinking of the end, like maybe even the 28th of January, which is the last Thursday of the month. I don't know how anyone feels about that for a public forum.
The 24th?
The
Oh, whoops, sorry.
28th, I think.
28th,
Yeah.
yeah, 28th of January.
I am certainly not planning on going anywhere.
I'm good.
Yeah. I won't have to buy refreshments, that's one thing.
Virginia, you are on mute.
Commenting on that, we don't have to worry in January about being able to meet for a meeting, as we do usually in the winters.
Yes, I know, we don't have to worry about the weather.
Just keep meeting.
So I have a weird iPhone thing happening. I have this on the 28th of January. I have a meeting on my calendar called Coco from 7 to 9. I have no idea what the heck it is. And
You have CPC, Peter. You have Community Preservation Committee.
did I miss a meeting earlier this week?
They scheduled their meetings all the way through January because the
Yeah,
applications are due.
I've actually put that in, but this is actually a meeting that showed up on Monday. Coco. So some crazy outfit has invaded my calendar called Coco.
Oh.
I wish I could show it to you, but I can't.
Catherine, is there a CPC meeting that night, do you know?
On the 28th,
Yeah,
there is.
there's a CPC meeting? Oh, okay, then we'll pick a different date. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they're meeting like 3 weeks in a row to do the application. So they're meeting the 21st, the 28th, and the 4th.
Oh, okay.
Did you have
No,
Conservation Commission, Peter? Conservation Commission.
No, I'm sorry. It's literally, I've got an alien showing up on my calendar
sounds like it.
called Coco. It's just the most bizarre thing ever.
Oh, man. What about, how about the Wednesday night, the 27th? Would that work for anyone?
I'm good.
Catherine, you see anything that night?
Can do that.
Finance Committee might meet, but it's just a question mark.
You know, I'm okay doing this in February even. Jackie said to try for January, but, and again, it's really the budget deadlines that we want to make.
Well, the difference between the last week in January and the first week in February is
Probably not going to make a huge difference.
no.
But
So-
like you say, the finance committee's meeting, Catherine, do they usually meet on Wednesdays? Selectmen meet Tuesdays. Oh,
It's budget season, so it's hard to know
I know.
when a good night would be.
yeah.
Thursday, February 4th.
I have CPC at 7 to 9.
We have CPC. I don't know.
You don't have a Coco meeting that night, Peter?
Okay.
So why don't we do it
Oh,
around the 11th, which is our regular meeting? Do it start
we
early.
could have it on the meeting night if you would like. We could do it on the board's meeting night, and that's fine.
Start at 6:30 or something. I don't know
Yeah,
if that
that would
works
be fine.
for the working folk.
If we know about it in advance, speaking as one of the working folk, I can make it work if I know it enough in advance to.
What
That's-
exactly are we planning to do at this meeting?
It's going to be a public forum, Virginia, where we will put out some advertising, let people know that we're going to do a presentation. We may run it similar to a webinar. We just want to get the word out that the planning board is going to start
Right.
is looking to get funding for a master plan, that we'd like to get that process started and not looking for a lot of input. We don't really need people to give us a lot of input now, but we want to reach out to them and ask for their support.
Is there any the difficulty with anything else that might need to be coming before the planning board on the regular meeting night?
That's
I
why
think-
that's why I asked earlier if this was being planned in conjunction with the meeting, because I don't think you want to do it in January with your continued public hearing.
Oh, we're not going to do that in January.
Yeah, so
You've got to decide when to continue that public hearing to. I think that maybe get continued to the 11th of February, based on the information we have now. So that might not be a good night to do it either. How about, we could shoot for, I mean, we can do February 3rd, if all of you can make it. And even if there is a budget meeting or a finance committee meeting, it's all Zoom, so we're not taking up different rooms. We can get it, we can make it happen.
I can do the 3rd.
Yeah, do you want to do February 3rd?
sure.
Could everyone do
Can
that?
everyone do the 3rd? David, can you do the 3rd? Dan?
I
Virginia?
can do the 3rd, but it's my birthday and I'm a little reluctant.
Aw.
We could
We
have
can have-
cake.
How about
We can have
Tuesday?
cake.
How about Tuesday?
Tuesday the 2nd?
No, Tuesday the 1st.
Tuesday
Oh,
the
no, that's
2nd.
right. Oh, Tuesday.
So-
Tuesday. the
Groundhog
2nd.
Day.
Groundhog Day.
Well, that's
We
perfect.
We
Perfect.
run up against the selectmen when we do anything on a Tuesday.
I think Groundhog Day ought to be when we ought to be talking about that continued issue.
Haven't we done this before?
Could you guys do a Monday night?
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. Is Monday a possibility
Yeah,
for people?
we could do February 1st.
I'm good.
And that gives you all enough time to get ready, Margaret.
Sure, that's enough time to get ready. Yeah,
I'm
we
good.
could do February 1st. That's
Let's
not
do
the
that.
conversation night. You want to do February 1st?
Let's do February 1st, and that way, if there's anything to report out, you can go to the selectmen the next night.
Very good. All right. We'll plan on February 1st for the public forum to roll out the idea of a master plan. All right, very good.
Thank you for bringing this to the top of the pile, Margaret.
Thank you.
Yes, I
Thank you.
agree with you. 1960, that was a
And I
while
will-
ago.
Yeah, that. Just one thing, I do want to just let the board know, and I mentioned it earlier, that we did get the grant to do the regulation update. We got 2 grants. I got one for 18,000 and one for 49,875. Under procurement, if you're between 10 and 50, you only have to go out to 3 bidders. But we're going over 50. I'm going to combine those 2 grants so that we can get all of the regulations done with one firm. So I'm putting together an RFP next week. It's a little more laborious, but I will most likely have the planning board as the group to look at the bids when they come in and to evaluate them, if that's okay.
Do you want us also to look at the RFP or?
Oh, certainly, yeah. The RFP, once I get that started, and I'll have everyone just take a look at it for me, help review that. And when after we send that out, once the bids come in, I'll have the planning board be the evaluation committee. If that works. But so stay tuned. Great. All right, thank you.
Sure. And does that close out our administrative section? You were sharing your screen and I'm lazy
Yeah.
and don't have the,
I have one question a little bit off the mark, but not inappropriate, I think. And that is, I would like to know who is running for planning board next year. I think I'm my.
I think
Sure.
I'm up. I'm up
Yeah, I think it's
and
Ann.
I'm planning to
Ann.
run. I think you're 2022.
Okay.
It's in the minutes. It's you, Ann.
Oh,
It is me.
okay. Thank you.
You make that sound so rough.
Just thinking of printing all those signs, Peter.
I'll hold one.
Lawn signs. Got to get the lawn signs going.
Margaret, do you want to now, since we're still in the administrative section, you've covered the Spring Hill subdivision question, which
Yes.
is being deferred. We've discussed the master plan. We've discussed the planning grant and the reg update project. There's the meeting minutes, which we can do at the end. I think at this point, probably it's time for me to recuse myself and turn the virtual gavel over to Ms. Rogers to chair the 60 Arbor Street continuance. So I will do that. And
As will I.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Mr. Pascarella. And so I'd like to call for the continuance of the public hearing that was scheduled for tonight on the property at 60 Arbor Street. The petitioners being Susan and Jeff Hamilton. And the petitioner, or the lawyer for the petitioner, has requested that we continue the hearing as there was not sufficient, some of the items that needed to be done by tonight were not completed. And so we are hoping to continue it to a time when everything is complete, everything has been checked out by the peer reviewers, and we will be perhaps one step closer to making a decision and not getting a plethora of plans between meetings. So I would like some member of the planning board to make a motion that we continue this hearing until date certain, February 11th, 2020. No, I see Catherine.
2021.
21. Well, let's make it in 2021. We don't want to do this year over again.
Thank you.
Wait, are we continuing to February 11th or January 14th?
February 11th.
Yes.
Okay.
David, if I may, Virginia, if I may.
Yes, please.
We got the request for the continuance. The peer review has not been done from the most recent set of plans. And we just feel that in order to get all the information that we need, have the reviews done, and make sure we have enough time to really get everything done, it's best to go into February. By, the Christmas, the holidays are approaching, and I just would be I don't want to have to go into January and have to continue again. I think if we can make sure we have a deadline for everything to get in, I think by if we can make sure that, because I anticipate a review being done within the next week or two of the plans that we currently have. From then, if there are any modifications that have to be made, it's going to be another set of plans and another review. Every time we get a set of plans, we have to have them reviewed. So I just don't want this board to get bunched up again. If we have this much time and we set a deadline for, I think, maybe January 15th, or to set a deadline to get that final plan in place, then we have the time to, if we have to go back and review again, or if there are things that we have to put in, then we can start to work on, what perhaps a final decision and then conditions. I just think we need the time. We just don't know what's going to happen, because again, the plans come back and they don't address everything that's gone on, or that was identified as an issue. So we just want to make sure that we get to that point.
I agree. I just, and so I'll just spit it out. I saw in your email, you said recommend to go to January 14th. The request is for the next available date. Is there any issue here with pushing out to February 11th? Or is that at our discretion?
No, it's at the board's discretion.
Because
And
I
if you
think
look
it
at
makes
the
sense.
form-
I think it
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. If you look at the form, the board will try to accommodate requests, but cannot guarantee a date will be available. So,
Okay.
you know, it's at the board's decision as to when they continue this to.
Well, I think it makes total sense. I'm a little bit skeptical that we'll ever escape this circular process. I hope we can, but I think we have to at some point,
Yeah.
meaning
Yeah.
February 11th. But this I think is best positioned to get us there. So I get it. Thanks.
So I just think that we need to be clear on what we think they need to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
And especially when it comes to requesting permits. I don't think we've asked them for permits to request a permit. A special permit.
No, I don't believe we've identified any yet that they need to request during the subdivision process.
Well, there have been some compelling arguments made that suggest that there may be 3 or 4 reasons why they need to request special permits for different things.
Sure.
And I think we need to decide whether we need to ask them to do that, go through that process. Otherwise, we're just gonna, be kidding ourselves that the meeting in February is going to be productive from a town standpoint.
When the peer reviewer looks at this last set of plans, he'll be able to determine whether they've addressed all of the comments in his peer review, and we'll look at all of the compelling arguments that we've gotten for the issuance of any special permits. And,
Good.
but again, it's just going to take time to do that. But I know by February, we will have that information. And we can create a letter from the peer reviewer who will say, give them a list. And then we should have all of that done for February.
Right.
I'm not sure exactly how we avoid the difficulties of the situation, which presents a fairly unique set of challenges, whether we are following everything to the letter in the subdivision regulations, given that there's only one house lot involved. And I think that that's part of where the difficulties have come, that it hasn't been made clear to the candidate that his application comes under the subdivision rules and regulations, and it is not an A&R for simply to divide piece of property because of the frontage issue, and that it doesn't qualify for the particular regulations that we set up for subdividing a land and adding a single house in the back because of the lot size requirement. So even though it may seem unnecessary to the applicant at some point that you get all the special permits, we would not be asking any more than we would ask of any developer developing a 10-lot subdivision, because those are the regulations that pertain to this. So it's an unusual situation, and I think that we've been a little hesitant moving forward, but I certainly have letters that you've all have seen coming from abutters that that make the case that there need to be more issues covered than would ordinarily be covered when you were simply dividing a lot for a single house. In other words, it's incumbent upon us to make sure, for our sake and for the sake of the petitioner, that the application is actually going to is going to guarantee that there is a buildable lot, that there won't be additional requirements from the person who grants the building permit, that that asks for more information about earth removal or excavation or a plan for the slopes. That all has to be done ahead of time. We cannot wait because the town does not want to see a road put in unnecessarily and all of that impervious or maybe mildly pervious surface created, and only to find that the house lot is not buildable. So that's at this point where I stand on those issues, that yes, we're going to probably request that more information about that have to do with the particular geographical aspects of this lot.
Yeah. Virginia, if the board's more comfortable continuing just until January, we could set a deadline. I can't assure us that our peer reviewer will have his review done in a timely enough manner for us to get the review done and then a response back again.
I'm not comfortable with January because there's more people involved that we need to be considerate of, and I do think that the abutters need to have sufficient time to take a look at at this plan, which many of them have, or several of them have, and of the next plan before we continue the hearing.
Okay.
So
very good.
Yeah, if I could add something, I think it's wise to wait until February meeting. We have this new attorney that's popped up representing one of the abutters.
right.
I don't know what the plan is there, but so be it. I think we really want to give everybody their time. And so if the 15th of January, by that point, the peer reviewer can be done, and the applicants, well, and then I would say, something like the applicants, well, I'm trying to think about how we would stage the applicants and the abutters' rights to respond.
Right.
I don't know how this goes in terms of, do we let the applicants have the final word? I think that's okay. I just want to make sure that the abutters have enough time to review the peer review and comment sufficiently, and we can evaluate that, and the the applicants can provide their input as well. But if, for example, if everything were into us by like January 29th,
No, that's really not enough time. Everything needs to be into us by January 15th.
well, no, I meant
Oh, I see.
the butters. I mean, if basically the entire record was closed, so to speak, by the 29th, it would give the three of us a full week in February and 2/3 of a week thereafter, which I would feel comfortable with. I don't know about the two of you.
Yeah. I think that's a reasonable time frame. I think if we say we want to have our peer review from this most recent plan that we currently have should be done by the end of, I would like to say the end of next week. And then that following week is the holiday. I'm actually not going to be working the week after Christmas. And I know several people are in and out that week before. So the week after Christmas, nothing will be done. The peer review will be done, I imagine, by the 18th. That's just my hope. Then I believe the applicant should have, I would say, give them a week after they get the peer review to give us their response. And if it's necessary, a revised set of plans so that we can confirm that what they've given us, it addresses all of the comments that the peer reviewer has had. We then can put those up on the website and give the abutters the opportunity to look at the peer review and a set of plans that the applicant and the peer reviewer are saying meet all of the criteria. That way, the abutters have an opportunity. They would then have probably, I would say that if we get all of that back from the applicant by January 15th, then it goes out on the website. That gives the abutters a couple of weeks to look at them and submit whatever comments they might have. Then on the 29th, we say, all right, we've got everything addressed. The abutters' comments may or may not be pertinent to what the peer reviewer has said. And then you'll have an opportunity, you'll have everything you need to look at it by the 11th. You'll have it all by the beginning of February or the end of January. That's my hope. That's how I'd like to see this work.
So I think that the three of us, at least I do, and David, I think you do as well, are somewhat concerned about dealing adequately with any issues brought up by abutters. Mm-hmm. And it sounds as what you're saying as though that those are turned over to the peer reviewer.
Well,
I think.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Peter, I'm sorry.
I think that, at some point, rather than just letting this ping pong match go on, we step up and take a position.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's needed potentially here.
Absolutely. No, I agree here. And I think on the 11th, that's something this board should be able to do.
But let me just ask, I mean, because when you were running through that scenario, like they're revised plans that are now. At what point do we say there are no more revised plans? These are the plans you've submitted. This is the review. This is the abutters' comments. You can have the final word on the sufficiency and legality of your plans, and we're going to take a vote on it. There's no more revised plans. This is what you've submitted. Mm-hmm. You've had 5 iterations, and it either is going to pass muster or it's not, and we're going to vote on that. Is that something we can do, or do we have to allow them to continue to submit plans?
No, you can make that determination anytime you want. Yeah,
I'm
the
there.
board can,
I'm
the
there.
board can make
Me
that
too.
determination.
Me too. The saga has to end.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean that we end it. It's either thumbs up, thumbs down, but we're done with the incremental changes that have us in this
Okay.
crazy cycle. We need to, I think for the good of the Hamiltons and for the good of the towns, we just need to make a call on this
Okay.
based on the best available information at the time.
Thank you very much. And I think that it's incumbent upon us because of the past, because of the history, is that we get good legal advice on making this kind of an ultimatum and of ending it when we do, because not only do we not want the project to have a driveway and no house possibility, we do not want a decision that will go back to litigation. So for any reason. So I think that's one of the reasons why we've been slow and a little cautious.
Yeah.
I don't know the solution to that.
Honestly, my hope is that this next peer review will whittle down any issues to the point where this plan can be, the planning board can make a decision. But I can't guarantee that. So.
Can I ask a question as a resident, not as a board member?
No. Yes, you can.
I'm not really sure.
The hearing is not, I would like to point out to the board that the hearing is not open.
Ian, it is
Yes,
open.
it is.
The hearing is open.
Well, so
You had a
We
motion
haven't
to open
voted.
it?
We have not voted to continue it yet.
So my question is, if this is not a substantive hearing and this is about a vote to continue, that you may not want to go too far afield in discussing what is actually the merits of what's before the board. That's my observation as a resident. I'm checking out. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I think that the
I agree with that.
conversation you're talking about is just process at this point, Dan. And I'm trying to not talk about any issues that have come up, but simply the fact that there are issues and that they come from different places and how they will be dealt with. So again, I think that we're just talking about process, and it's probably time that we stop that and
Move to continue?
And move to continue.
Okay.
And someone did move to continue, right?
I did.
All right.
I'll second.
Thank you. And Rogers votes aye.
Clay
Clay?
votes aye.
I'm sorry, is it to February 11th?
February 11th.
Was there a deadline? I'm sorry, was it a January 29th final deadline?
I would ask that the board just allow me to determine those deadlines with the peer reviewer once I have an opportunity to do that. And I will, but this board will have your final version of this plan and all of the issues identified or resolved prior to January 29th. Does that make sense?
I think
Yes.
we wanted to, okay. Oh, that this board will have it. So yes. So that implies an earlier deadline for the peer reviewer, et cetera.
Yes, and I'll create the deadline when I talk to the peer reviewer with the applicant, and we will make sure that there is sufficient time for the final plan and the final review to be put on the website for the abutters to read by, I would say January 29th. I will have everything to you, but I would say January 22nd, I'll get everything on the website for the abutters. But as I get things in, I will put them up on the website, so the abutters will be able to see whatever we get when we get it, if they will keep an eye out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to pass the meeting back to Madam Chair.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the vote. You didn't have a final roll call vote?
We did, actually.
Okay,
But Clay
I missed
says
it.
aye.
Anderson, I.
You're on mute.
My apologies. Thank you.
Rogers, aye. Unmuted.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, I'm back. Dan is back. Ann Weeks is back. Dan Pascarella has joined the meeting as we're recording. We have remaining this evening a chance to look at the minutes from October 8th, 2020 and November 17th, 2020. I sent some slight changes to Catherine before the meeting, but not very much time before the meeting. I'm wondering if I should share those on my screen. I don't know if Dan has changes or others have changes that they want to point out. How would you like to proceed, members? I can open up my
You
edits.
had more edits in than just changes, just some edits. I think you could share them.
Yeah, let me see if I can. I just have to put you guys into the out of the full screen and let me open up.
Screen. Ann, do you want me to allow you to share your screen?
Yes, I'm just sorry. I'm just digging up the version I sent to Catherine.
I will make you I will make you host, Ann. That way you can hit share screen and bring up what you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I'm just trying to find both of them. And then I can do that. Hold on 1 second. All right. So now back to you. And no, I had a share screen button before and now it seems to be gone.
If you hold your cursor down at the bottom of your screen.
Oh, there it is. I see it.
Pop up.
It's because I had you on the little gallery on the side. Okay, so here are the October minutes with my changes. Share. So there was not a lot. And I don't know if other people had material before the second page. So is anyone, should we just read through this now? And if there's any other edits you want to call out, please do. I would also note that my name is spelled wrong under continued public hearing. Sorry, that would be Ann without an E, but.
Yep, sorry.
And do you want to just jump to your changes in the document?
Yeah, if no one else has any.
I don't have anything for this set of minutes.
Okay, on the top of page 2, I recall having said that you made a particular statement that the applicant was misusing a decision that I was part of and attempting to say that it was precedential. And so I guess I would just say the decision of the board with preliminary approval and should not be compared to, nor does it provide any precedent for 60 Arbor Street. I think that would accurately capture what I was trying to say. So I'm a little uncomfortable making that change without making sure that everybody's comfortable, just suggesting it. Are you guys comfortable with me editing my own statement there?
I am. It accurately reflects what I recall you said about it.
And then down at the bottom of the second page, the zoning board approved the A&R, including conditions related to the shed at 51 Cherry Street. I don't know if that's the correct framing.
Right, the zoning board doesn't approve A&Rs.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm saying I'm not sure how this was presented, but and we
Should say planning board.
right. So this should be the planning board, but I do recall there was a zoning board of appeals question about the shed. So I'm not really sure what this sentence is referring to, whether it's referring to the zoning board approval.
No, it was, we had a discussion about just putting on the A&R plan the condition that they needed to get the zoning relief, remember?
Right. Well, that's good. And so we should say then the planning board approved the A&R, including conditions related to the existing shed.
I think it was, we approved the A&R to include, or something, we wanted the conditions stated on the A&R.
Right. So let's figure out how to say that. That's different than this then. So the planning board approved the A&R and requested that conditions related to the existing shed at 51 Cherry Street be placed on the Mylar. That's the next sentence. So you have thoughts about how to? Yeah. I mean,
I would just, you know what, and it's in the second sentence, so I would just say the planning board approved the A&R.
Okay.
And then take out for the shed at 51 Cherry Street.
Right. Okay, that's fair enough. This is why I'm pointing this one out, because it confused me, because I do remember we discussed it having to go to the zoning board of appeals. So, okay, I'm good with that edit. I can. I don't know if I can do that. I can. You have to look at my fingers. Maybe I should turn my video off while I'm doing this. The A&R.
Could you be a little bit more specific about what it was about that notation? Because I think that the notes should include what that notation was.
Notation referencing the need to either get a zoning board of appeals approval or remove the existing shed.
I think that it captures it sufficiently for the minutes. I mean, the notation, if anybody wants to know what the notation is, it's going to be on the Mylar.
Right.
And the meeting's recorded, right, Margaret?
Yeah.
Well, it's not.
Was it recorded? It was a virtual meeting, so it was recorded.
Yeah, it's recorded. All of our meetings at this point are recorded.
Yeah.
So.
Margaret, having done a considerable amount of collecting of data recently, at my request, the the more information we have in the minutes, the easier it is to find what you're looking for, the documentation.
How would you like this to be changed? And I'll just start typing.
I would just say what the notation on the Mylar, what the notation on the Mylar says.
Sorry, I'm doing this with my arms up in the air because of the weird place where my camera is.
I think, yeah, I think it was a variance from the ZBA. Yeah,
I think it just said relief
a relief. Yeah. Okay, just relief. Yep.
because the applicant took the position that they don't need a variance.
Yep.
And where you're starting this, which says namely that,
Yeah.
I would just say namely that relief from the ZBA. And then take relief out after.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah. How's that?
So is there a time frame associated with that?
I don't.
I mean, that was the issue, that they didn't want to have to do that now, but only when a building permit was,
They did get a variance from the ZBA.
they did?
Yes.
And the notation didn't have any time frame on it. It just said that before you could.
No.
Before
Okay.
that lot was to be, created, this had to happen. Or built on. Okay, next one. I just added, this is like, it looks, this probably should be IATION too. Didn't catch that. It looks like that was just a short form, the original amazing job that Catherine does. And that was all I had. I don't know if others had anything. Oh, and I'm gonna, just while I'm thinking about it, correct my name spelling since I actually am the person with the pen here, sorry. Oh, all right,
I already corrected it, Ann.
sure you did, but anyway, we're back down here. Any other edits to the minutes? If not, can I entertain a motion to approve them with the edits in red line as you see them on the screen?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Weeks says aye. Anderson,
Anderson, I.
Rogers? Virginia?
I said aye.
Sorry.
And Clay says aye.
Sorry, Rogers, aye.
Clay says aye. Pascarello?
Aye.
Right. Thank you. Now I'm going to stop this share. I'm going to share another one.
So are we on November 17?
Now we're on November 17th. Yes, indeed.
I had just a couple, Catherine.
Where are they? And I'll just.
The paragraph under the bullet point, I think overuse is one word on the fourth line.
Yeah, I got that one.
Okay. When it's talking about the maximum amount that we can draw, I think it should say up to 142.35 million instead of two. For up to, yeah. Let me see.
The question I had on the sentence below it, and I didn't make any edits here because I wasn't really sure what to say. It says regarding the new subdivision's usage of water, Wenham Pines will. So we're talking about Wenham Pines here.
Yep.
I mean, maybe that's obvious, but when I was reading it, I was like, what subdivision is that? But okay, it's fine. It's
where it says it was suggested, I'm pointing at the screen like you can see me. I would put that a packet. It says it was
For that.
suggested a packet.
I could search for that.
Keep going down. Nope, above, like 4 lines above continued public hearings. I suppose it's fine. It was suggested a packet. If you want to put it was suggested that a packet, doesn't really matter.
The packet of material.
And then the last sentence before the heading, where it says this system is not subject to DEP restrictions and able to draw on the reservoirs compared to Wenham. Does that mean unlike Wenham? I wasn't sure what compared to.
I think that's what that means.
Okay. So do we want to say comma unlike Wenham?
Or which Wenham is not.
Or whatever. Yeah, just. The only thing I had on page 2 was that the word linear was spelled wrong. In
My name.
the middle of the page.
Rats, that's the only thing I thought I could catch was typos.
Fourier. Linear is going to be the frontage question, right? Where is your linear?
It's almost in the
Fine.
exact center of the page. 150 linear feet, right? Keep going to your right. Down. Right there.
Ah. Oh, yeah. Let's go linear. Let me just.
LINEAR.
AR. I can do it with my fingers.
And I only had one tiny nit on page 3, which was under administrative. Focus of the update.
I did make one more change here. There was
Oh, okay.
discussion about care must be preserved, or stripping or grading of the amount the applicant claims, which means the letter at that point said 35,000 square feet to be done without special permit. So it wasn't that you can't do any, it was tied to the 35,000 square feet. So anyway, I just threw that in. I hope people are comfortable with that.
Then the only other change I had was the focus of the update is to, I think it should confirm, not confirmed. That's all I have.
I had one on page 3. The paragraph that begins Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson confirmed. There was should be changed to, wait, hold on. For the claw.
Oh, it's nice to hear the bell chime.
It's a foreboding edit.
Yeah, here it comes. No, there was should be changed to that applicants are requesting.
It would be a waiver from the sidewalks requirement. Or from the requirement to install sidewalks.
And in the next sentence, he also stressed the importance of including public comment.
Did you want to say abutters there instead of residents?
Yeah, good point.
I don't think everyone that submitted a comment was a direct abutter.
Um,
From what I could tell on Arbor Street, there was people that I didn't think were direct abutters, but maybe they were.
Interested parties.
I think everybody that presented was a direct abutter, but I might be wrong. I mean,
You don't have to be in a direct abutter to submit
Okay.
a comment.
So we'll
No,
just make abutters.
Yeah.
Okay.
but do you want this to be abutters or residents? David,
Mm. Concerned parties?
We call them parties of interest sometimes.
Well, that's what I meant as parties of interest. Whatever I said, that's what I meant.
Well, I mean, suppose somebody wasn't, though, a party in interest is somebody who has standing, right? So if,
Not necessarily, but you don't want to go down into the weeds on that.
yeah, so I just wonder if we want to use that.
I think what I said was public comment, or the public to submit their comments. I would hear from anybody who has something to say.
Well, and you did make that point, actually. How's that?
That's great. Thank you. That's all I had.
Peter, I'm sure you've got a bunch, right?
And I know, I can tell you that this.
I missed my one typo on linear.
Do you want a motion to approve as edited?
Yes, I would love that.
So moved.
Second,
Second, Peter Clay.
all in favor, Weeks says aye. Anderson?
Anderson, I.
Rogers,
Aye.
Pascarello,
Aye.
Clay,
Aye.
what else that folks want to bring to the attention of the board before we take a motion to close on the meeting?
And your microphone's cutting out a little, but I think you said you wanted a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Ian, could you just make me the host again before you cut out?
Yeah, you are screen sharing. Stop share. Do I hit new share? Do I
Just say, it should be able to say stop share.
stop share?
Yeah. And then if you go up to my name on the participant block,
Oh, right, of
can you
course.
open that? And then if you, where it says more next to my name, do you see that? Just click on that and it should say make host.
Yeah. Yep, there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't usually use Blue Jeans in my office, not Zoom, so I'm not up on all these niceties for Zoom. But anyway, yes, I was asking whether or not I could have a motion to adjourn the meeting, but I was also asking before that point if anyone had any other business that they wanted to bring to the attention of the board.
I actually, Ann, I do have one thing, and we did receive, and it's not anything the board's voting on or anything. I wanted to just let you know, we received a letter the other day. It was sent to the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, and you will get a copy as chairman of the planning board, from 62 Maple Street, with the letter indicating their intent to sell the property to Maplewoods, the 40B project. So the right of first refusal is with the selectmen now. It's being vetted through the town council, of course, and then I think they may vote on it next week, whether or not they'll exercise the right of first refusal. One of the issues that came up, not issues, but one of the things that came up with the 40B once we did amend that permit was to get those units counted on our SHI. And in order to get them counted, they just have to sign off on the right of first refusal. So we're expecting that to be coming soon, if the selectmen vote that way.
Okay,
That's all I wanted to let you know.
thank you.
Good.
Does anyone have any questions about that?
No, but I had your motion to adjourn.
Dan has a motion to adjourn. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, Weeks says aye. Anderson,
Aye.
Rogers,
Aye.
Pascarello,
Aye.
Clay,
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you.
all. Merry Christmas.
Thanks,
I won't
Margaret.
see you before the
Merry
holidays.
Christmas.
Have a
Merry
nice-
Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
Hanukkah.
We'll see you in January.
It'll be
Happy New-
2021.
Happy New Year.
It comes soon enough.
Bye.
No, hopefully it's better.
Right. I don't think I have any questions, Margaret.
Okay, you think you got everything? I'm gonna